Train the muscles, not the joints. Alright, so I'm here in the woods here. I'm up at Hicks Lake by Harrison Hot Springs. So I just wanted to actually explore around a little bit and just kind of see some of the trails. Sometimes I like to take a walk around sometimes before I do legs or something like that, so I got to train later on. I should probably lock my car up here. You never know when a bear is going to break in. You guys saw that sign in the front, right? Where there's a bear roaming around this territory, so those bears, man, you don't want them breaking into your car. They're bad drivers. Bears tend to be bad drivers, so I want to make sure I don't let them have my car. So I think I've talked about this before, but today I'm going to be doing a workout in my garage. I'm going to be doing some squats and stuff, and I haven't had the mirrors installed yet. They're going to be installed in this next week or so, that'll make the gym much nicer and be easier for me to see my form and stuff, and especially during squats and those types of lifts. The fact is that sometimes it can be helpful for you to get a walk-in or do some sort of warm-up activity throughout the day, and then later on when you do go to work out, then your body is almost awake or the blood has been flowing in certain areas, so it's almost like an extended warm-up or a warm-up for movement. If you just move throughout the day just a little bit, and then later on when you go to the gym, it just seems to wake up the body and cause a proper movement pattern, so that way when you work out you have less chance of injury. I think there's a trail here, so I'm gonna have to follow that. I wanted to go take a look and see how far this thing goes. I don't know how far up the trail goes, but hopefully it's pretty short, but man, it looks really nice. Ooh, spooky. Spooky forest. Nice. Hopefully the trail goes through there. I feel like one of those old choose your own adventure books, like, should I cross the path or should I not? That's the thing about these paths, they always look easier from one direction, but once you actually start walking along them, you're like, man, how oddly suited man is for nature. Oh, okay. All right, go through there. All right, let's see here. See Sasquatch, you let me know. This is supposedly the Sasquatch territory. This is as far as I'm going to go this time. I'm not going to go, I don't have the time to go up there yet. And I think there's an easier trail possibly. So I want to make sure I find the easiest trail. I mean, I'm an explorer and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. Why don't I want to go up there? I don't know. There's a reason. And I don't know what the reason is right now, but I'm sure it'll become apparent to me later. It's how that whole wisdom in the body goes. I listen to the wisdom of my body, and there's no fear in it. There's nothing like that. It's just that something tells me, yeah, it's just not a good use of my energy at this moment. And then I just follow that. It's kind of what I do in the gym, you know. Okay, go through here. All right. All right. Ready to jump with me? Are you ready to make a jump? Hopefully I don't ruin my camera. Here's the jump. You jump from here over there. It's about 1 meter high. I know it's hard to tell on a camera, but about 1 meter high. Here we go. And I made it. And I almost broke my tripod in the process. Here we go. All fixed. Okay, so I think there's probably another way to get up there. I think it might go down this way. I don't know if you guys are enjoying this, but it's definitely more or less Stroud type of bodybuilding channel at this point. It's funny. Oh, that was fun. Nice. Cool. Okay, go back home and train. That's why a lot of times when I've gotten injured, most of the time when it has happened is when I wake up right away in the morning, I go to the gym, work out, and do a warm-up and everything, and then work out, but it seems like it takes a little bit longer for your body to get going in the mornings. Now, if you're used to working out in the morning all the time, maybe this isn't a problem for you, but if you do change the pattern up, just be careful. If you change your pattern up, if you start training early in the morning right away, don't be afraid to do a little bit of a longer warm-up. Okay, but one of the ways that I warm the body up, or I get it moving, or I just enjoy my life too, because I just enjoy nature and I enjoy being out in this sort of thing, is just I just get a little bit of a movement in, whether it's a walk to the beach or just a walk down the street or a walk around the neighborhood or something. And then sometimes when I go to the gym at that point, I feel stronger and I feel more coordinated and I feel like my body is more awake and able to deal with the weight and the loads that I'm going to put it under. So I can see that puppy, so next time I'm getting there. I'm going to get there somehow. I'm going to be fully equipped and I'll be getting up to that waterfall. I'll be like Tarzan in the jungle here. So welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding, and this is the workout portion. So I will be doing a little bit of voiceover work because I didn't really talk a lot in the gym to the camera, probably because I was doing high rep squats. So I'm still warming up here with 225, but then I moved my way up to 315 and I'm doing high reps. So somewhere around 25 and above. At least I'm trying to get that for the first set, and then of course you see progressively the reps go down, but that's kind of normal. So anyway, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing some high rep squats here, and I will explain exactly why I don't lock out at the top in a few moments. Now you notice I don't knock out at the top, okay? I do that for my own reasons because I want to keep the tension of the muscle and I want to keep the most stress in the stretch state of the muscle. So when I come up past, well, I'll show you, okay? I'll just do the range that I do, and then I'll show you when I come up past the range that I'm doing to the lockout, it's like there's a bunch of tension that just leaves my legs and then it just transfers to the stabilizers in the spine just to keep the hips in place. But I'm not necessarily getting more muscle mass on my legs from that, so that's why I don't lock out at the top. Now I'm going to share with you an interesting trick that I apply in my training that I haven't really talked about. But one of those tricks is that I choose the rep range based on the exercise, because some exercises will cause fatigue in different muscles with different rep ranges. So for instance, if I go super heavy on the squat, I notice that my hamstrings start to hit failure long before my quadriceps do. But if I do high reps, sometimes my quadriceps actually hit failure and I end up getting a different type of workout on the leg, even though it's the same exercise. And of course, sometimes with the wrong rep range, I'll also notice that there's a little bit too much lower back involved. So you can actually choose the rep range with each exercise based on what you find hits failure. And of course, remember the weak link principle, whatever is hitting failure is what you will be getting results in. So if you notice you're doing bench presses at 5 reps or 7 reps and you notice that your delts are hitting failure long before your chest, guess what? Your delts are actually going to be getting the majority of the growth. Does it mean you never do the 5 to 7 reps or 8 reps? Well, no, you could still do that, but what you want to do is understand that when you are hitting failure with a certain muscle group long before another muscle group, you might not be hitting the muscle group that you want to grow. You might be hitting the wrong one. So if you notice that at 15 reps on bench press, your chest is hitting failure and not necessarily your delts, that might be a good thing because you're doing bench press for chest, possibly. I mean, you might be one of those guys that's doing it for delts, or you just might be doing it for strength. But if you're doing it for bodybuilding, you want to find out which muscle group is actually hitting failure and choose the rep range based on that. Not only the exercise, but actually choose the rep range. Because I was hitting close to failure on squats, I found that 3 sets with high reps was more than enough. And then from there, I went to some shoulder and tricep training. So as I was doing this exercise, a guy named Sam was asking me questions about hand grip during rear delts. And I experiment with different hand grips, but the one that you see me using right now is usually the standard grip. I usually stick with that grip most of the time. But in this set, you will see me extend the set by lightening up the weight and then doing a pronated grip. So you'll see in the background. Anyway, I'll just let you watch. Now when I'm using the first grip, like not this grip that I'm using right now, but the other grip, okay, the partially supinated or the clapping monkey hands together grip, okay, that grip. When I'm using that grip, I find that I work the rotator cuff a lot, like the infraspinatus and any of the external rotators in the shoulder along with the rear delt. And when I use the pronated grip, such as what I'm doing right now, I notice that I hit just the rear delt or more so. I isolate it much more. So this would be the major difference between the two grips. Ultimately, I like to use both because if you strengthen up the rotator cuff, especially the external rotators, they wrap around the bones of the shoulder, the humerus, okay? And because they wrap around there, they actually will give the illusion of shoulder size. They'll give you that softball type look in the shoulders. So that's why it's important to work the rotator cuff as well as actually the heads of the delt. So as you can see, I used the pre-exhaust principle on my shoulders. First I worked the rear delts and then I went to shoulder presses. So if any of you guys out there have weak delts, if you notice that your delts aren't developing, this is one technique that you can use. You first pre-exhaust the deltoids and then you go to the compound movement after to ensure that the deltoids are hitting failure first. The other thing I'm going to talk about is rack position for shoulder presses. Should you take the bar off the rack from the front or from the back, okay? And I see a lot of guys do it from the back, and just so you know, it's a lot more dangerous from the back because the back is obviously if it goes back too far, if you're going to re-rack the weight and say you missed the rung or something, you go back too far, you can dislocate or cause some damage to your shoulder. So you want to be careful with that. And also I know some guys, they miss the rack altogether. So say they're not in a power cage, but they actually just are in one of those shoulder presses where they just have a rack behind them, but they miss it and they overshoot it. Well, sometimes when they've overshot it, they've actually totally injured their shoulder or once again dislocated it or caused a real problem there. So I rather take the weight off the rack from the front. I find it's much safer and you can control the weight and get into position much better, but I think this is a personal preference. Both have their dangers. Some guys from the front, when they unrack the weight, they try to unrack the weight at too low of a position, and sometimes they put a little bit too much stress on their delts because what they do is they actually relax the delt. So it's really not the delts that are getting the stress, it's actually the joint, the shoulder joint itself, because as they're getting in a position, they're actually relaxing the weight at the bottom. And of course that will overstretch the labrum or the tendons and ligaments in there, so you don't want to do that. You always want to keep tension on the muscles when you have weight in your hand. Now for the first 3 sets, you can see that I only took about 30 seconds rest in between sets, actually a little bit less even on the first 2 sets. But on the final set, on the 4th set, I decided to take a little bit more rest, about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and replenish, and then start all over again and do as many reps as I can do. So there's 2 ways to really be intense in the body. You know, one way is to shorten the rest in between sets, so that way 4 sets really become one long extended set. So it's almost like taking that 1 set deeper into failure. I find that it's good to do that once in a while when you're doing lightweight. It really gets that deeper burn and that deeper failure going on. But ultimately, as a general rule, it's good to take at least 1.5 minutes in between sets, and then from there, hit as hard as you can with as heavy as you can with any given rep range that you're working with. I went to skull crushers on an incline, and that's my second favorite movement. My first favorite movement is the dumbbell overhead extension for triceps, but I like to do it with 2 dumbbells, not 1 dumbbell. But of course I had done that just a day or 2 earlier, so of course I gotta change things up, right? You gotta change the exercises up so you're hitting different heads of the muscle. You don't always want to hit the same thing over and over again. Although with the dual overhead dumbbell extension, I am getting some amazing, astounding results from it. It's just crazy. So as you can see right here, I'm doing some dumbbell curls. And the reason why I do this once in a while is because I get a different feel from contracting the biceps after I get a tricep pump. So it feels pretty good. Sometimes I'll do some high reps and stuff, but I was just doing this for a tutorial reason in this video, just to show you that this is something you can do. Sometimes by doing supersets of tricep and bicep back and forth, you'll get a different type of pump, a different type of feel. And I'm sure it will hit different muscle fibers than you usually hit. And because the shoulder is sitting in the joint differently when you have a tricep pump as opposed to when you don't, it may actually assist in stabilizing that shoulder even more so. So this may enable you to contract the biceps much more so than usual. So I'm just going to use one exercise for triceps today because I sometimes will do that. Sometimes I'll concentrate just on one exercise and I'll do multiple sets and just kick the crap out of the muscle. And then other times I'll do 3 sets of something and then I'll change exercises around. I'll do a lot of variety. I'll do 2, 3, 4 exercises depending on the volume that I'm doing that day because I want to hit the different heads. So it's really up to you. I really suggest going back and forth. Sometimes it's good to pound the crap out of one exercise, and then sometimes it's good to change it up. Stars are out pretty good tonight, so I'm gonna have to show you guys what the stars look like. I don't know if I'll be able to get it on camera or not, but I'm gonna show you my backyard here so you can get a look. I'm gonna turn on the fire first. Okay, so this is not the ideal way to light a scene, but I'm just using my iPhone for some lighting here so you guys can kind of see my face, but I'm going to show you the stars. Okay, I'm going to show you a shot of the stars. I don't know if any of it will show up or not, but it's extremely clear tonight. It's crazy, so we'll have to take a look. Making fun of me?